Stands for the International Crisis Conference at Elon, and it's essentially a 2-day simulation, and it focuses primarily on international relations courses, and it tries to get them to implement their realist theories that they learned in class, the ideas of hegemony and things like that, implement them in a real-world perspective, so that way they can start to understand the world in a different sense than just the classroom.
And it gives them a little experience in debate and applying the policies and the theories that they learn in the classroom in a real-time simulation in which they have to defend the policies that they're putting forward.
They will be assigned a country. Currently we're focused on South Asia, so there'll be about 10 countries. You could be assigned anything from North Korea to Pakistan, and you'll be given a role, and as a student you will learn what you will practice what you've learned in class to fulfill your role as a world leader.
The thing that I like about Crisis is that you're given the opportunity to practice what you actually learned in class. It's not simply you're looking at a PowerPoint of definitions like what's realism and structuralism and all these different theories of international relations. You're actually in the classroom and not really consciously aware of those theories, but you're acting them out whether you know it or not. And it's fun to be able to reflect back on that and say, you know what, I took a very realist approach to international relations.
The freshmen and sophomore students who have to take international relations, and this may not be their major could be communications or business, but we're asking them to pretend to be Kim Jong-il for a day and try and reunify North Korea. And we allow for a lot more leeway, a lot more fun. This last simulation I've been trying to put a North Korean on the moon. Oh my God! But it just helps get these students interested in something that they wouldn't normally consider is related to their major or their future career.
I mean, there are different groups that work within the crisis room while we facilitate the conference, and two of the very important groups are the AOPs, or the Action Order Processors, and the Diplomatic Corps. And one of those things is, the AOPs, what they do is they process the action orders that are given to them from the committees. Once a committee decides on a certain action to be taken or votes on it, they pass it through the chair or the co-chair of that committee to the AOPs. And from the AOPs, the assistant directors and myself are able to look at what action order was made and whether or not it's viable or plausible. And from there we kind of go in, and if it is viable or plausible, we implement it in the crisis, and then it affects the crisis, or it affects the simulation in real time. The Diplomatic Corps really facilitate the communication between committees when a certain committee wants to meet with another one, or when they want to communicate between each other. The Diplomatic Corps facilitate that.
And what you see is the hierarchy of we kind of have a pyramid of how ICE works, because you need to have some level of control in certain areas. So you have your chairs and your co-chairs, which are the ones that are actually in the committee room the whole time. The chair's purpose, they're kind of the leader of their group. They're the leader of the action order processor, their co-chair, and their diplomatic corps representatives. The chair is essentially responsible for leading the group. They're kind of part of it, but they're split between being part of the crisis room as well as part of the committee itself. And they rely on the co-chair to relay all of the information, everything that takes part on behalf of the delegates directly to the crisis room, which gives them to, as Rob said, the AOPs and the Diplomatic Corps. And what happens is that everything that is sent via an action order, this is all done electronically, it eventually gets sent to our news directors, and the two of our news directors type up all the news stories as they come in, whether they said they wanted them to. Usually the chair and the co-chair says whether or not they want the news story published, and then the news story will be on a live news feed for about all 200 people to see. You should do it, it's really fun.
Yeah, I mean, there really is an element, besides the element of applying real world issues in a simulation and so on, there really is an element of fun
and the main thing that students should know going into ICE, whether they're on the Model UN side, the IR side, or another school coming in, is that it really is something that can benefit them in the long run.
The goal of ICE is to teach people who may not necessarily know something, so I hope that it'll always remain open to everybody.